Okay, it is recording. So yeah, today I want to cover converting fractions, decimals, and percents. Um, so you might know how to do this already. You might have a different way uh, than me to find the answers to this. That's perfectly fine. Um, this is just a really big piece of all grade 7 math and then grade 8 math. And I know even for the grade 9 and grade 10s, they're doing it too right now. So the better that we are at figuring these out, at working with decimals, working with fractions and percentages, uh, the easier everything else that we learn this year is going to be. Okay. Um, and I always like to start out with a real world example. In the pages that I like lay out, I try and give as many real world examples as possible because let's face it, otherwise math is kind of boring and it can be tricky. So like, let's try and make it real before we just look at the boring number stuff. Okay. Um, so I've taken a screenshot here from a Staples flyer, which right now you can get 30% off on Sharpie, S-Gel, and Rollerball pens. And the prices here, they're like $3.49, $6.15, $4.19, and $7.99. Can we find out what we would pay for these at the till? So I know that it says all prices after savings, so this actually includes the savings of 30%, but for our examples right now, we're going to just say that these are the original prices, and now we're going to find the sale price and then the price with tax. Okay, so I'm going to look at this one first, the 349. So to do this, we want to set up our equation first. And if I want to set up the full equation, it would look like this. Now, let me explain this. Oh, sorry, I missed a number two. 3.49, that's our original price, times 0.7. And I use 0.7 because 100 minus 30, which is our discount, is going to give me 70. So if I find out what 70 is, 70%, um, it's saving me a step. So I could just kind of go 349 times decimal 3 to get how much I'm saving. And then I could subtract that from my original price. Um, or I can just subtract or multiply it by 70% in order to kind of put those two pieces together. Okay. Um, I'll do the next one with the 0.3 instead of the 0.7, and then I'll subtract just so you can kind of see uh, the different steps, okay? And then same with the multiplying by 1.11. That includes tax right into it. So that's 111%. Uh, um, and it looks weird because it's a percent that's larger than 100. But again, I'm doing it that way because I can kind of bypass a couple of steps. Okay. Um, Notice right now though that the the first part of the equation is in brackets, and then there's another multiplication sign, and another part to multiply. Uh, so it's order of operations, okay? So I'm going to do what's inside of the brackets first, then I'm going to move to the outside and I'll complete that part. So, and I'm not going to use a calculator here. You could probably take a calculator and do this a lot faster than I am going to be doing it right now, but that's okay. So first I'm going to do is multiply. So 7 times 9 is 63. 3 goes down, 6 goes up. 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 6 is going to give me 34. 4 goes down, 3 comes up. And then 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 3 is 24. Okay. Now, I'm just going to try and get that out of the way there. Now, when I multiply decimals, and this is actually something that we'll cover later on, instead of just right now, when I do it like this, I just ignore the decimal place for now. Then when I have my answer, I can add the decimal places back in. To do that, I look at how many decimal places I have here, and how many decimals I have, or numbers after the decimal I have here. So I have 2 in the first one, and I have 2 in the second number. So I add those together, and that tells me that I'm going to have 4 decimals in my answer. So right now my decimal could be there, but I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So my answer then is 2 decimal 4 4 3 0. I don't deal with that. Like I don't deal with 4 decimal places when I am working with money. So we can just round it up. Well, actually round it down to 2 decimal 4 4. Okay. So that is what ends up right here. So that's my first part of my equation. Then I'm going to now multiply it by 1 decimal 1 1 to end up with my actual answer. I'll switch colors here. So now I go 2 decimal 4 4, 1 decimal 1 1, and I'll multiply these all across. Okay. Add those all together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10. 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7. And then 2. Again, I had 1, 2, 3, 4 decimals there. So I end up with 4 decimals in my final answer. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So my final answer then is 2 decimal 7084. I don't deal with that for money. So it actually turns out to be $2.71. Okay. So if I were to buy the 2-pack of S gel pens with the savings and then with tax, I would need $2.71 at the till um, in order to pay for it. Does that make sense that way? Okay. Now I'm going to look at this one next here. But this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently. And I'm going to find how much I save first. Then I'm going to subtract that from my original price. And then I'm going to find out how much tax, and I'm going to add that to my sale price as well. Okay. So if I were to write my equation out, this is how it would look. So I'm going to go 6.15 minus 6.15 times 0.3. And I'm going to put this in another bracket. Okay. Times 0.11, because that's my tax. And I'm going to put these all in brackets too, because then I'm going to go and add plus the so there are a lot of brackets right there. Okay. It looks a little intimidating at first. At least to me, it would. Um, but you're going to you do the inside most brackets first. And these are the same thing. Okay. Oops. Then we would do the second set of brackets. So again, this part here and those ones are the same. So I only actually have to do my equation. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for us. Make it a little bit easier for us to see, okay? And then I do the last set of brackets, which will be number 3. And then the very final part that I do is the adding, and that's number 4. Okay?
Sorry, we're late.
No
Delay.
problem.
Yeah.
So I'm going to find out the insidemost bracket first. So I go 6.15 times 0.3. Okay. So 15. 5 goes down, 1 comes up. 4, or sorry, 3. 4 plus the 1 is 4. 3 times 6 is then 18. I have 1, 2, 3 decimals in my equation. So I'm going to have 3 decimals after. So my answer then is 1.845. That's too many decimals for money. So I round that one and it becomes 1.85. The 5 makes rounds up. That's why it's 8.5. Okay. I'm going to rewrite my equation now. So now I've got 1.85. And I'm just going to make sure that my brackets are back in place. Okay. I've gotten rid of the red ones. So now I move on to my pink ones. So my pink ones are right here and right here. Um, Something that I also actually do in like when I'm working on math in on paper is I do uh, color code things. So because I'm a very visual learner, I like to see how things are working that way. Um, so if you need to color code things to make your life easier, um, absolutely go for that. Okay. Um, okay. So now I'm going to do the second set of brackets, which is the 6.15 minus 1.85. So the this the 1.85, that's my savings or my discount. Okay. And I'm going to subtract that from my original price. 5 minus 5 is 0. 1 take away 8, I can't do. I'm going to have to borrow. My decimals are lined up when I subtract them. And then 5 take away 1 is going to give me 4. So my uh, sale price after my discount and savings are taken off is going to be 4.30, $4.30. Okay. I'm not done yet though. I have to figure out my taxes. Okay. Uh, Tax in Saskatchewan is 11%. So 0.11. I'm just going to rewrite my entire equation. Okay. And now this is my last set of brackets that I have. So the 4.30 times 0.11, that is going to give me how much tax I'm paying. And then this is my price. Okay. So now I will get rid of the last set of brackets. So I'm going to go 4.30 times 1 decimal. Oh, sorry, no, not 1 decimal. That was in the last one. 1. Okay. And I'm going to multiply. So 1 times 0, 0. 1 times 3, 3. 1 times 4, 4. Okay. These, I had 4 decimals here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to make sure that I have 4 decimals uh, afterwards. Oh, I only have 4 numbers. That's okay. Um, my decimal just goes right there, and I can put in a 0 to hold my place if I need to. Um, so I can find that the tax on my item is going to be 47 cents. Okay. So now, oops, sorry, I'm just trying to my whiteboard just froze up on me, so I just have to kind of load back into it. Here we go. So now I can have 0.47 plus 4.30 And that's when I add those together, that'll be my final price that I'm paying for these pens. So I'm going to go 4.30, 0.47. 0 plus 7 is 7. 3 plus 4 is 7. 4 plus 0 is 4. Okay, so if the original price of the Sharpies was $6.15 and I had a 30% discount, I would end up paying at the register $4.77, and that's including my taxes. Okay, so in the first example, I did 0.7, and I was able to kind of get rid of this entire set of brackets. I made my uh, life a fair bit easier. And by multiplying it by 1.11, I was able to kind of bypass that part as well. Okay. In either way, in either example, I would get the same answer. Okay. It's just one of them has more steps. Neither is wrong. It's just what are you comfortable with? Okay. So we could do those other two as well. They're going to be very, very similar. Okay. Um, but so would you like me to walk through another example, or do you want me to move to the second part of what I would like to talk about? Okay, I will move on. Okay. The biggest thing that we're working with is, one of the biggest components here is actually converting percents to fractions to decimals and kind of moving between those three different things because it'll make our lives easier to deal with if we're trying to like either sort them out or figure out which one is bigger, um, especially if we have all three as examples. Okay, um, so convert. Let's convert some of these into percents and then into fractions. Okay, so uh, in the lesson itself, it says if you have a decimal to start out with, to turn it into a decimal, um, you just move, or into a percent, sorry, you move the decimal 2 places over to the right. So there wasn't an extra number there, so I can put in a 0. So 0.8 as a percent is 80%. 0.53, I move the decimal over 2 spots to the right. My percent then is 53%. 2 spots to the right, 68%. 2 spots to the right. I need to add in a placeholder, 60%. I think that that's pretty straightforward. I think that those are kind of easy and nice to work with. And then if we have it as a decimal or as a percent, we can turn those into fractions as well. So we could take it from the percent option, which is 80% is per cent, per cent, like per 100. 53 percent, 68 percent, 60 percent. Okay. Now, those are fractions. Some of them can be reduced. And we want to reduce fractions when we can, because smaller numbers easier to work with. Okay. So let's look at that. So I'll pick a color that will make it nice. And if we have a fraction, so I'm looking at the 80 over 100 now. If I have a 0 here, I can cancel that one out and cancel that out on the bottom as well, because that's what dividing by 10 does. Divide by 10, which means that 8 over 10 is an equivalent fraction. So these are the same fraction. They're equal, okay? I can reduce it further because both of these numbers, the 8 and the 10, can both be divided by the same number, which both can be divided by 2, which means that this is 4 over 5. I can't reduce that any further. So that is the fraction in simplest form. Okay. 53 over 100. I can't divide those by the same number. 53 is a prime number. Okay. That is already then as a simplest form. One of the things that we're going to look at in our next unit is divisibility rules, and looking how we can see quickly by looking at a number if it can be divided by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, or tens. Okay. 68. We can divide both of these numbers by 2. My answer here would be then 34 over 50. One of the rules for divisibility is if the number is even, it can be divided by 2. So if it ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, it can be divided by 2. Well, 4 is even, so is 0. Okay. There we go. Okay. 60 over 100. Same as with the 80%. It would go first down to 6 over 10 because I'd cross out those zeros. And then I can divide both of those by 2 as well. So that is the simplest form as well. Okay. They just take practice. It really comes down to that. And you'll start to kind of get quicker and quicker as you kind of move through them. Okay. You can also convert them from fractions to decimals or to percents. This one here, we could do long division, or we could just plug that one into a calculator. I don't have a calculator in front of me. That's why I say that. Otherwise, I would do that. But 1 divided by, so I'll do this one first. 1 over 2. Well, that is 50. Another way I could write that is 50 over 100. And which then, as a decimal, is 0.5. Okay. Because I have percent per 100. So 50, like that. Or like this. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to this one. I could plug that into a calculator. I could do long division to figure out how many times 12 goes into 20 and so on. I could also find out how to make that over 100. Okay, make an equivalent fraction. To do that, I go, okay, what do I do to 20 to get to 100? Multiply it by 5. And if I do something to the bottom of a fraction, I also do it to the top, which means then 20 times 5 is 100. 12 times 5 is going to give me 60. Now it's easy to turn it into a percent. I've got 60%. And from our example just above, 60% can also be written as a decimal like that, 0.6. Okay, so works out pretty nicely that way. Okay. 652 over 1,000, because sometimes our fractions are really, really little. Okay. That one I can turn into a decimal first, and then I could look at a percentage. Okay. So I go 0 decimal, and when it's over 1,000, that means that I'm in the thousandths place. So I have to have 3 places after the decimal. 6, 5, 2, because this is the tenths. Then it goes hundredths. And then it's the thousandths. Okay. To turn a decimal into a fraction, I move my decimal over 2 spots to the right, 1, 2. So as a percent, I am looking at 65.2%. In grade 7, we're not going to deal with too many percentages that are decimals, but they do exist. They're pretty straightforward to work with too, okay? Now we'll look at this one, 54 over 1,000. Okay. Thousandths place, so I still have to have 3 decimal places. But I only have 2 numbers with this one, 5 and a 4. Well, I just use a 0, okay, to place, hold that value, and then I place 5 and the 4. And then move it over 2 spots, 5.4%. Okay. My last example here is just something that I would like to talk about because we're not really going to deal with them too much in grade 7 though. But sometimes you end up with a mixed fraction or an improper fraction where like the number on top is larger than the number that's on the bottom. 11 is bigger than 10. We can certainly write those as a decimal. It just means that we have a whole number on the left of the decimal instead of having a 0 like the other ones. Okay. We can also turn that into a percent the same way as everything else. We move the decimal over 2 spots. So it would be 110%, which is the amount of effort that I would love for you to try with every one of your assignments, which means just trying your hardest. And then if you get stuck, to keep going and to ask for help or to go for more. Okay. So that's what we are working on in math right now. I will share this video with you right away. If you need to refer back to anything other than that, your assignments are posted. Okay.